Hello, welcome to the Alternative Society podcast, and my name is Chris Obiet. You probably the first time you see me on the show. Daniela isn't here, so I'm presenting today. I'm a creator of Alternative Society NFT. I'm an architect and did the blockchain side of things and the other part of it. And we have an exciting guest today on our podcast. I'm really excited to have this conversation with Ola Adesanya. Ola Adesanya is a creator of PalmPlug. I guess he can make that introduction. So Ola, you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thanks, Chris. So, hello, my name is Ola Adesanya, and I'm the founder and CEO of PalmPlug. PalmPlug, we pretty much build wearable interactive controllers that allow you to touch and interact with virtual objects. So it's been really an amazing experience, and I'm really excited to be on this podcast.
Right. That's what's up. Before we met you, I remember seeing your video on Amplify's page, Amplify Africa. Right. So it was really exciting, and coincidentally, it happened that you were working on your device, and it had something to do with mixed reality and virtual reality. So it was amazing when I saw your post, and we happened to meet at the conference in LA, and it just happened we bumped into each other, and I came up to you and showed you what we were working on. So I was excited about that. So Ola, where did you grow up? And where did you grow up?
So I grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, for most part of my childhood years. So I came to the US 2012. But prior to that, I was a Lagos boy. So,
nice. You know, we Lagos boys, we keep it going.
You were in Lagos too, right?
Yeah, I was born in Ikeja.
Okay.
Yeah.
My
so
not too far from Ikeja.
Oh wow, that's nice. I was born on a popular street called Allen Avenue. So, I mean, a lot of people always. So now you see why we are passionate about building the Metaverse in Lagos.
Like back to how we met. When I saw what you guys were working on, I was like, wow, this is really amazing. I'm just like thinking back, and like I can't wait to like just experience Lagos in the Metaverse and like navigate different cities. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. Definitely. We'll try to give it our best shot. So we'll try to give it our best shot. So how did you get into your career, or how did you get into software development?
Sure. So my dad and my brother, they're both engineers. More on my dad's side. So my dad, growing up, used to like bring a lot of computers back home, and he's a tinkerer like myself, so he likes to like get into hardware and like build stuff. So after high school, once we get on holidays, he would actually take me with him to his office, and we'll pretty much fix computers. So I remember the first laptop I actually got. It's like you get your first baby, right? And this is like
yeah.
He was like taking it apart, so I had to take off the screen, take off the hard drive, and pretty much disassemble it. And then he's like, put it back together. So I did that in his office, trying to fix different things. And that was kind of like how I slowly started getting into hardware and into software engineering. The funny story, I guess, for me is on the academia side of things, I was like doing terribly poor. So I used to be last in class like throughout high school. Probably even earlier than that. So for me, the struggle was not in the creative part. So I knew I was very creative. Like I remember in high school, I remember building a radio, which was contraband. So we would go to like the scraps, garbage like cans, and we'll find like different sensors and parts there, and essentially we'll put it together. And I remember building a radio, and like I remember the day we had a teacher like come into the room, and he's like, "What's that sound? Where's it coming from?" But he couldn't like find it because it was built into like a mat set. I don't know if you remember that metal mathematical set. But yeah, I've been creative. I think that's definitely something. That's definitely been one of my strengths. Well, growing up on the academia side, I was definitely struggling. I remember wanting to actually go into engineering, and my counselor at the time invited my dad to to school. I was like, there's no way I should get into science and stuff, that I should just stick to like the arts. And I remember very clearly her insulting my dad that day. I was like, oh, your son is never going to do anything or be anything. Yeah, I remember my dad taking me, asking me, okay, so what do you want to do? It's up to you. And we had a very good conversation. This is like a heart to heart, definitely burnt to my memory. And I told him I wanted to be an engineer, and he was like, if that's what you want to do, then we're gonna do this. And he started coaching me. So him and my mom, once I get back from school, they would take time out to sit down with me and try to explain all the things that I was already taught in school. So I had double lesson sessions, and eventually I was able to get my grades up a little bit just to get into uni. But yeah, that's kind of that story. I guess I could go on and talk about that forever, but I don't think we'll finish this podcast.
We have some sort of similar experience when it comes to that engineering part, like the early phases, because my dad too was an engineer, and I found myself working with him and, breaking stuff and building stuff. And my first laptop computer, guess what? I still have my first laptop computer from college. Yeah, it's broken, but that's how emotional I attach things that I work with, I play around with. I still have it. It's somewhere here. So we have a similar experience, and we play with all that math set, or we make, where you make the tin, the can, where you connect threads, and you go hide somewhere, and you can speak here and you hear the person on the other end. Yeah, we did all this stuff. So I remember trying to be very experimental, building stuff. So I definitely can relate to what you're saying. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So did you study that in college as well? Engineering?
Yeah, so I did computer science. So my journey was pretty much first going to college in LA. So I did about 2 years in a college called Trade Tech. And then I did another 3 years at UC Irvine. So after going to college, then I went to University of California, Irvine to study computer science. Yeah, that's kind of my educational background.
The starting point. And yeah, that's cool. So you study engineering. What part of the computer? So you said computer science or computer engineering?
Science.
Oh, computer science. So you had to learn. So did you have to learn extra programming languages, or how did you decide you were going to stick with software, or how do you think you were going to go into hardware?
So I guess growing up and just being around my dad, with messing around with computers, kind of gave me that early exposure to hardware, just understanding fundamentally how they work, in terms of the hard drive, the wires, and just tinkering around and building things. So I already had a very vanilla understanding of hardware. And then I went to college, and in one of our intro classes, they introduced this that it's called an Arduino. So it's this microcontroller that's pretty tiny, and you can simply program it and teach it to do many things, or make it turn on a light, or
the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, like the Raspberry Pi.
Yeah.
And after playing with that, I knew I wanted to do hardware. So just the possibilities. And I think what's cool about software is software's cool. It's kind of like in the cloud, you don't get to see it. It's this, right? Unless you use an application, and then you get to see the UI. Hardware is very real. You get to see it, and you get actually feel. You get to see the things change around.
See how it works. So,
that was definitely a big attraction for me, and just combining it with software. So I was already studying computer science at UC Irvine, and just being introduced to that other angle of programming software, but with hardware, just lighted a fire. So I started having like multiple ideas around building hardware products and just knowing how to control them or program them from a software level or from a software angle just set me on a different path. So actually, I had the idea for PalmPlug way back in college. Now this is many years ago. So yeah, that's kind of like how that journey actually began.
So you said you didn't enjoy you enjoyed the software part, but you had to choose the hardware because it was kind of fun and interesting.
Oh yeah, so I didn't ditch I didn't ditch software completely, but I'm still a software engineer. But essentially, I gravitated towards hardware a little bit more. So I knew I wanted to start a hardware company, and I wanted to build like hardware products, just because of the possibilities in the hardware space. And the power like software gives you. Like it's crazy to like see how your code could like physically move something around you, or how your code could like turn on the lights or turn off the lights or control a TV. Given the right hardware, it's quite like fascinating to see what's possible in the software world. So that's definitely something that I'm really excited about. So combining both worlds, combining both software and hardware, putting them together to create amazing products is something that I'm really passionate about.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. That's true because I can actually relate to that as well. At some point, I was in love with hardware, and I remember when I was going through a postgraduate in automation, industrial automation. So I did. It's kind of like robotics. So we would do a lot of hardware stuff, but then I started programming in PL1, some language called PL1, and we would write a certain kind of code and embed it into like robots, and it's just going to do like some automation steps. So it was really cool, like watching the fact that you can write codes and you can push it, and it's just performing certain kind of tasks.
Yeah.
So it was really cool connecting hardware to the software. So I see where you're going with that. So that's really cool. So with PalmPlug, you said it started. What was your journey like with PalmPlug? Where did it start exactly? And where did you say, you know what, damn, let me give this a shot?
Okay, so fun story is I know nothing when it comes to music, or I knew nothing when it came to music, and so I decided to take music classes. So between switching from coming to college to going to UC Irvine, I spent that summer just getting a coach. So I hired a tutor who used to teach visually impaired kids how to play. So she used to do something very interesting. I do have my saxophone here, so I'll kind of show how that works.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah,
she taught kids how to play. She had a habit of tapping the back of their fingers. So initially, for kids who are visually impaired, they can't see like sheet music or the score that we would typically read to be able to know what notes to play next.
Right.
The initial thing she does is she tries to educate them on what's a B, what's a C on a saxophone, and things like that. And she did that by like pushing the fingers they need to move. And she did that. She taught multiple instruments, so she taught the piano as well and the saxophone. And she applied that same logic to me. So it was very weird initially, like, okay, having someone like tap my fingers. But the idea kind of was that if something could like just tap your finger to let you know what fingers to move, then you could simply learn how to play any instrument without even needing to read like the sheet music or a score. So that's kind of how the idea kind of like started. And at the time, I didn't quite have all the skill sets I needed to build it together. So all I could do was actually sketch and draw. So I actually also love to draw.
You draw too?
Yeah, I do. I do some technical sketches through my free time. So I remember sketching it out. That's all I could do. And sometime later, after taking those classes and after playing around with the Arduino and the Raspberry Pis and things like that, I decided, hey, you know what? Let me give this a go. Let me see if I can put together a prototype. So I did, and it was a very. Let's see, I think I actually have it here. So, it was very, very like bulky, and right now there are lots of parts of it that are broken. But it was.
So what is this? Is this the manual? Is this the manual gloves you play with?
No, so this was the prototype ever that I.
Oh, I see. Okay, I see that. Oh, it has the Raspberry Pi on it.
Yeah, so this is the Arduino, and then we had like a circuit board, and a lot of things have fallen off over the years, but we used to have like cables that extended all the way to. Oh, okay, so that was basically your prototype. Yeah, so this was the very first prototype.
Very first one,
yeah. And over the years,
it feels like some sci-fi hand and that has like superpowers and you can do stuff with it.
Yeah. But initially, when I built that and I tested it out, it kind of was very flaky. So in terms of the concept worked. So I could feel the vibration. Well, it was very hard to identify, okay, what finger is vibrating. Also, the gloves were really thick. They're very thick, and it was very hard to just, get a lot of things working. So I had to create another version. So I remember building another version that is probably somewhere in my garage.
Right.
That was a little bit better. It was skinnier. It wasn't as thick as this one, and the haptic motors were kind of like on the knuckle area. And that worked so much better. It's actually the picture on our website when you see my tutor play the saxophone. And that worked. So I took that back to her and I was like, hey, so I built this prototype. What do you think? And she puts it on and she tries it and she's like, wow, this is like pretty amazing. And then we go to a school called RAMB. So it's a blind music school somewhere in LA. And we try the gloves on with kids who are visually impaired, and they're able to learn as well. So now the songs we're playing are very limited. They're not like something crazy, but just watching a kid who's like visually impaired put on the gloves and play a song, that was, I think it's like, okay, I am going to spend the rest of my life using this technology.
Building that. Well, one question. So how does that? Yeah, one question. So how does that work? So if someone who's visually impaired wears it, how do they connect with the particular key that they have to play at that time? So do you have someone like teaching them somewhere, or how does that work?
So we essentially we have an application we built on the iPad or on the laptop that has a few lists of songs. So we have like songs like for kids, like Mary Had a Little Lamb or Odie Joy. So we kind of have a list of our own, and these songs are already programmed with the gloves, so the gloves know exactly what fingers to vibrate.
Okay.
Essentially, for the kids to learn the song, we select the song they need to learn, and then the app sends signals to the glove, telling the glove, okay, hey, I need this finger first, and then this finger next, and then this finger. And as it vibrates the finger, whoever's wearing the glove knows, okay, this finger just vibrated, so I need to push it down, or this finger vibrated. So that's it's a two-way stream. So we have
two-way stream.
We have the glove.
So then,
we have the app.
Wow. Oh, so that means it's a perfect tool or application for music or education or a music school type thing.
Oh yeah.
It sounds to me like
In fact, that's going to be one of the heaviest use cases for PalmPlug music applications, and we're doing a lot of cool things that I guess I could talk about, like later podcast.
Much later.
Yeah.
Definitely, because that just gives us a whole like a horizon of where we're trying to expect in the future. We can have virtual schools where people don't have to be in the same environment, and they teach kids, and they can wear your device and you teach them over somewhere, maybe the Metaverse, maybe your virtual world. and the kids can actually learn how to play with using PalmPlug.
Exactly.
That's that's so cool, man. That is super cool. So about the hardware, are they comfortable? Because I know there's something about hardware that a lot of people are not very familiar with, especially hardware that comes with the Web3 and the virtual reality space. You consider Oculus is not comfortable. It's not. It's still heavy and big when you wear it. So I find out a lot of people don't wear them because it's bulky and it's not comfortable. So is the device PalmPlug itself, is it comfortable to wear? Is it easy to wear to have on? Or do you intend building something over the years it's going to become better?
So it is quite comfortable. So if you look at PalmPlug and if you start to see what other people are trying to do in the market, very quickly you'll see that our design is very unique. So the thing that was very important to us when building PalmPlug, and just looking back at the early prototype, I think I'm just going to put this on.
Yeah.
I keep referring to it. Is some of the problems you run into when you wear a glove like this is, hey, what if you start to sweat? What if?
Yeah. Right.
What if it gets dirty? What if? Different things could happen. And then when you start to think of the future of the glove in a form factor like this, it's quite a lot of things to worry about maintenance-wise. Now, when you look at our prototype and this is kind of a little bit what the final product will look like.
This one?
But this kind of gives you like an idea of where we're going. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Next year you get to see the final product. Or no.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you can actually take a look on our website and you can see. But the difference between this two is you get full access to your palm, so you kind of forget that. For this, I know I'm wearing a glove. My hands are it feels like, and it's heavy, right? Yeah, and it's heavy. And in fact, something that happens in the industry is you have companies that try to create gloves like this, and then they have to kind of mount the Oculus controllers to the back of the glove, like way heavier.
It's still not comfortable, and it's still not comfortable, and that's why I asked the question, because with a lot of the mixed reality devices and virtual reality devices that I have been seeing, the design is still bulky. It's not miniaturized or like, a little smaller where people can easily wear them or use them. So that's a problem for a lot of people, And I know Facebook or Meta, they're trying to produce the smart glasses where you can just wear them, and you probably would have to activate it by switching or by touching or whatever. That'd be really cool if it comes out. So from a design perspective, I feel like, if we have those kind of hardware, like what you have on the current prototype is way better than the older one. And maybe, yeah. So,
and just like you said, so Facebook and a few companies like that, they're actually creating a lot of cool. I actually have another AR headset by a company I really like. It's called Mira.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one we saw you wear on your picture.
So Mira is an AR headset that works with your mobile phone. So it's quite comfortable. Essentially, you put your phone, you snap it behind here, and you're good to go. You have. So it's very.
So you just snap what did you just snap? Like the frame of it?
Yeah. So this is like I think they call it this is like the lens, I guess. The founder called it the fishbowl.
A fishbowl.
Because when he did the original,
you know what it reminds me of? I don't know if you can remember this Nigerian soap opera we used to watch back in the day, Boy Alinko.
Oh yeah.
That's what. Yeah. That's what it looked like. He had all this Google glasses, but it is really cool. This is a dope design, and it doesn't feel heavy.
Yeah, it's very lightweight. It's also mobile. So for a lot of AR, so VR is one angle. You also have augmented reality.
Can you tell us what PalmPlug is? if you were trying to explain it to a non-techy person and you're trying to sell a product, can you explain what exactly is PalmPlug? What do we utilize it for, and how are we going to utilize it? What is?
So, let's do some practical use cases right now. So, me and you on the floor, right? And right now this is in 2D. So what's going to happen in the future is this is eventually going to roll out to become the Metaverse. So you put on a headset, right? And that's your new computer. So what if I said, hey, you know what, Chris, why don't you shake my hand? You know, how do you do that? Or if I said, hey, why don't you help me reach out for that ball or grab a virtual object? These are things that you fundamentally can't do today. So that's really where PalmPlug comes into play. You need a device to allow you to touch and fully navigate this space. And it's similar to computers back when computers started early.
The mainframe?
Yeah, you had like these huge computers, but they only had like keyboards, right?
Mm-hmm.
Software engineers and people got really creative and they were able to like at least navigate the computer using these keyboards. Well, eventually what happened was they released the mouse, and that brings computers to the average consumer. Now the experience drastically changes because now everybody can easily understand how to navigate a computer screen or like a 2D system. And with the phones, you have like your fingers that you're able to point, so that helped already. But currently, I feel like for the Metaverse, we're still back in that. We're facing that same problem again, where we have great displays, we can see the virtual world, we can visualize it, but how do I move around? How do I touch? How do I interact? How do I grab an object?
Yeah.
So that's really where PalmPlug comes into play. We want to be able to play a basketball game and actually touch the ball in VR, or we want to be able to shake our friends and give them a fist bump or a high five, or we want to be able to like play a musical instrument. So being able to touch and feel is something that's really important. So PalmPlug, the focus of the company is to build wearable interactive technologies that allow you to experience and really interact with virtual objects in this world. And we go beyond just virtual. I think that's one key thing for us as a company is that for most companies out there that might be creating like other products, the focus is purely virtual. But for PalmPlug, we're trying to connect your hands to the world around you. So we also care about being able to hold a real object and not just a virtual object. So we want you to be able to like, hey, grab a saxophone, bring it with you to the Metaverse, or grab your ping pong bat, bring it with you to the Metaverse. So experiences like that are things we really care about. So we care both about real objects and also virtual objects. So for objects that you can't quite hold and like feel, we want to be able to simulate that on your hand. So the glove being able to vibrate your fingers,
cover
to simulate the experience of touch is something we're also working on. So really excited about some of the technologies that we're going to be rolling out early next year. So definitely can't wait for you guys to try it.
Yeah, definitely, yes. I believe a lot of people are going to jump on it because the space is interesting. Like if you've ever been into the Oculus or you've been into mixed reality, you see the different kind of experience it gives you. You can basically do a lot of things that you can do in the real world and in the Metaverse or in the virtual world. So that's really cool. That's something that a lot of people are looking forward to, and the future is here. So I feel like a lot of people are going to jet on that PalmPlug, and I know PalmPlug is going to go really far because there's not a lot of haptic devices that we have out there now. So that is pretty cool. And you already know we are creating a virtual world with similar experience, but if people can utilize their virtual characters in the Metaverse, they can as well wear the PalmPlug and have better interaction and communication, or better interaction with people, or can play games with their friends in the Metaverse. So yeah, that's a really good one. So how long did it take you to patent your idea of PalmPlug?
So that took about 4 years actually.
Wow.
So if you're trying to if you're trying to, well, it could be faster. It didn't have to take 4 years, but I needed time to really think. So what I did was, again, when I had this idea, I was barely in college, and I didn't really build it. All I could do was sketch. So that was when I decided to really like think about the future and how are all the possible ways a technology like this, how is it going to come to the market? So I spent the final year in college actually taking a class. So I went to my school and I was like, hey, I have this idea and it's beginning to like distract me from actual like class.
From actually.
So can we create a class where I get course credit for this project that I'm working on? And they were like, oh yeah, sure. So just get a few professors on board with you. So I found some human-computer interaction professors and I was like, hey, you know what? I want to do research in this. So I spent my last semester in college doing extensive research in wearable controllers. And it gave me time to really think about the future. And the sketches I actually used back then is what is actually in our patent. So the sketches you see there on our patent, if you ever Google it up, were the sketches I came up with back then. But essentially, filing the patent was one of the best decisions I ever made. I think a misconception that people have with patents is they think you need to fully build the product before you can file a patent.
Before it gets.
And that's
So they just first understand that you're the first person that has like the process of it.
Yeah.
Then you don't need the full product before you get approved. Okay.
So you don't need the full product to be developed yet. Now, will it help? Like if you've actually spent time building the prototype, would that help you? Yes, it would greatly help because once you start to build, which was something I was doing in college as well, was starting to build those early prototypes. It helps you see things that other people are not seeing. So, for example, I know that this isn't going to work in the metaverse, like because of like people want access to the palm of it.
Something smarter, palm, yeah.
So when I was filing my patent, I didn't care about designs like this. I cared about designs that were more exoskeleton
exoskeleton,
that you wear in your hands. So it does help, but if you're able to actually sit down and really express the idea and think about how you want to document it, then you have a good shot. And the other thing is, it has to be something that no one else has done before, and it has to be something that is that's not novel. So it has to be something that someone just can't think of right away. Those are some of the things that the patent officer is going to consider before approving the patent. So luckily for me at the time, this is something that nobody was working on yet. But in the past, people had built, the idea was out there, like, I don't know if you remember the Nintendo Power Glove, that was like this really game in. But there was that, but in terms of the metaverse and virtual reality and AI, which is something that's another angle of our patents that is also there that I don't think people even really know about yet. It kind of all came together, and we're able to really document something that was way, way ahead of its time. And it was going to take years to eventually come to market. So that was another thing. But essentially, if you're able to describe the idea well enough, and if nobody else has done it in the past, and it's not something that's easily conceived, then you do have a high shot. So if you have ideas, I would say just go for it. Try and document them as much as possible. If you can't sketch them, try and get it to paper. Like, I feel like there's something powerful about being able to take an idea that's just in your head and put it to paper. It could be writing about it, drawing it if you can't. And that is so powerful. Just that alone was what I was able to do back then. And today I'm very happy I made that decision. Well, since then we filed like multiple patents. So PalmPlug actually has 2, and we're going into our 3rd family. So from our first patent, there a family of patents that are going to come from that. And for our second one, we're also going to have quite a few other patents. And so we have a lot of IP work right now, because you have to protect your ideas and your inventions as you build them, which is something I would say for people of color and just for anybody actually. When you have ideas that you think are could be applied in so many different ways, it's important to have ownership, because that's what's going to prevent another person or another company from just taking your idea.
Right. Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head on many points here. So I kind of agree with the ownership part. It's good for people to take ownership of the ideas that they get, and I feel like that's even going to be a better thing now, because the Web3 space too is all about ownership. So apart from just painting, creatives can actually get the chance to own whatever they put out there with the Web3 and cryptocurrency and blockchain that's coming up. So, that's a good thing. And so what do you think about the interpersonal skills that creatives should try to imbibe, or, when it comes to inventing or creating stuff? I know you mentioned that when you have an idea, make sure you document, make sure. So what other things too, personal skills or traits that you feel young people who are creators should have or possess, so that they can actually have the ideas up to generating them and actually completing it? Because a lot of people have ideas. There's smart people around, but it's not a lot of them that can put that idea into effect. So what do you advise young creatives out there?
So that's a very good question. That's a really good question. And I think my answer to that question is, it's about what you have right now, what you can do right now. A lot of times we worry about the things we can't do or the skill sets we don't have, and we belittle the tiny skill sets that we already have, and they're usually the most powerful. And I've seen that play out in so many different ways. I could talk about my sister, for example. She recently started her own company. It's a healthcare company called Kira, and she's not a founder, but she's been able to build a multi-million-dollar company by partnering with others. For PalmPlug as well, when I started PalmPlug, I had some basic understanding of engineering, but I couldn't at that point in time build it. And again, even if till today, no man is an island. So for a lot of ideas that you might have, it's going to require multiple people to come together to actually actualize that idea or that vision that you have. So I think in terms of skill sets people should have, is they should just trust what they already have, and don't be afraid of, pursuing the dreams, but don't be afraid of actually, going for it. And for the skill sets you don't have, find someone who does. So if you want to build an app but you don't know how to code, go find a friend who knows how to code and talk about your idea. I think another thing people are really afraid of, which is kind of
sharing. Yeah. Sharing.
But here's the real truth that nobody tells, is that for someone to steal your idea, they have to put in a lot of work. Now, in my opinion, and for any other entrepreneur out there who's built a company, you learn very early and very quickly that ideas are worthless. Ideas carry no value. There are 7 billion people in the world who have
that can yes.
And I
can relate. I can definitely relate to that, because a lot of people just think about things. People are smart. We have a lot of smart people, and that was why I asked the question, because it takes much more than just thinking about, oh, I can solve this, I have a solution to a problem. It takes more skills to get that to actualization. You got to discipline, you got to, have the right partnership, you need the right technical know-how, you need, You need to experience a wealth of your people around you to actually move accordingly and get and execute your idea. So you're actually right when it comes to that. And wish a lot of young, and that's why a lot of creatives find it difficult to actualize whatever they have in their head when they find a solution, because they don't possess all the skills, and the ideas are not just enough. Even your skills are not just enough, so
but
yeah, so that's,
I feel like the power or the value is in whatever way you can, right? You have an idea, it's in here, nobody knows what's in here, like nobody, like I can look at like the average person and not know like there's $1 billion idea like this sitting in their head. But the power is really, can you take that idea that you have in your head and bring it out so it's out of your head? It could be writing about it. It could be sketching. It could be drawing. It could be building an app if you can code. You don't necessarily need to have everything figured out. That would come. People would gravitate. People naturally would gravitate to great ideas or to great talent. What you need to do is get it out of your head. Let it be something that, hey, you know what, I can look at. I can look at a piece of paper. If you wanted to tell me about your idea, talking about it is another form. Like, it's out. Now, it's not just here anymore. It's not just in your head anymore. It's life. Once you talk about it, like, you give it life. Once you write about it, now, it's not just something that is in your head. It's something that other people can consume. And in terms of stealing ideas, trust me, whoever like has the time and the energy to put into trying to build your idea, if they're able to actualize it, then they deserve it.
I agree. I'm 100%. I'm 100% on that. It's just time, It's time. The creative process it takes a lot of time. So if you're willing to put in the work and sacrifice certain things like the social activities and certain kind of things, and you put in the work for research and all that stuff, it's worth it.
Yeah,
it's worth it. Yeah. So, how do users sign up for early experience of with PalmPlug?
So on our website, we've started accepting users to try out our beta. We've actually been testing with people. So if you're in the LA area, or if you're in Seattle, or if I'm ever in your city, I guess we could.
How about Nigeria? how about your Nigerian people?
Oh yeah, so
don't leave them out.
I guess next time in Lagos. So what we're actually doing is we're doing PalmPlug pop-up parties. So we would have a beta party in different cities in the next few months, where we come to Dallas and we put it out there. Hey, do you want to try PalmPlug? And people can test it out. So right now on our website, if you go to palmplug.com, there's going to be a link that says sign up for beta. We'll get your name, your email, and we'll also have like a city where you're from so that we can collect that information. Once that would help us understand what cities to go to in terms of like cities with high numbers, and we'll be able to like throw a beta party at your city where you can actually test our gloves and try them out. But if you're in the Seattle area or you're in LA, I'm usually kind of shuffling between the like hit me up and we can like schedule something for you to try a demo. But yeah, so PalmPlug.com.
Yeah, so you guys listen to him. Go to PalmPlug.com and go sign up and try to get a good experience. PalmPlug has pop-up parties, and they'll have different pop-up parties. You guys go join and get experience of the future. And Alternative Society is also working closely to have PalmPlug partnerships so we can, kind of have that really cool experience with our Metaverse and then the PalmPlug device. So yes, you guys go support and go sign up for the beta version and get the experience. Oh yeah, and also, what's your Twitter handle?
So mine is Laolu94. So LAOLU 94.
Can you say that again?
So for my personal Twitter, it's Laolu94. So LAOLU 94. And for PalmPlug, our Twitter handle is PalmPlug Labs. So PalmPlug Labs. So feel free to check out our Twitter. We're also on Instagram. So you can also follow us on that.
Yeah, y'all go follow Twitter and Instagram. Go follow and sign up ASAP. It was nice having you on the show. I feel like this is a really brilliant idea, so we appreciate your effort trying to bring that handheld device into mixed reality, and so we appreciate it. So hopefully we get to talk and we get to see what the future holds for PalmPlug. And we've come to the end of the podcast. We appreciate you for coming around tonight at Society NFT. So we plan on having our exhibition party soon, and we'll send you some invites in Dallas.
Awesome. Look forward to doing that.
All right, yeah, definitely. All right, have a good one, Ola.
All right, you too. Have a good one.
Yeah, peace out. Yeah.
Bye.